Welcome back to Coach's Corner East on this Wednesday evening. Last Wednesday in September, we are at the Galleon Pizza Hut with the Crestline portion of tonight's show, and we're brought to you in part by Terry Gribble and Associates at your Galleon Community Center YMCA, Dr. Erica Schieber at Bucyrus Veterinary Service, 222 West Mary Street in Bucyrus, Rod Steiger and Associates here at the Galleon and Bucyrus Pizza Hut, our host of this show since 1992, Luann Krebs at River's Edge Embroidery, screen printing and signs, sponsor of our phone board t-shirts. And I'd like to welcome to the microphone tonight assistant football coach at Crestline High School. It's Garry Wright Garry Wright. Hard. Does anybody ever call you the Dreamweaver?
I've heard that a couple times.
Yeah. All right. Yep. If you don't know, we are the home of iconic rock and the Dreamweaver by Garry Wright. Back in the 70s, I believe. Davy Jones would know a lot better than I, but we're here to talk football, and Bulldogs go down to Morrill to take on Ridgedale, a team that you didn't get to play last year. You were supposed to play, and they kind of canceled at the last minute and maybe left a little bit of a stale taste in people's mouths, but it is what it is. And you go down there and unfortunately didn't get the win, but you did put up a few more points. You fall to Ridgedale 42-13, now 0-5 overall, 0-2 in the Northwest Central Conference. But you both teams were down some players due to quarantine, and when you're dealing with a couple teams that don't have a lot to begin with, that's pretty crucial. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Ridgedale's improved some from years past. I know we didn't play them last year, but typically they haven't been a winning team, but they're winning right now. They're 3-2, I believe, and they have a winning record. We come out. I think we drove about 60 yards on the first drive. We scored. Everything's going well. We get the extra point, and then the wheels kind of come off a little bit. We're in it still. Again, I don't think we played a whole game of football, let alone not even a half. We played about 2 quarters, and then in the second quarter, I don't know what it is, but it just comes apart. So last week the line played a lot better. They were clicking. But the guys that are sure-handed weren't so sure-handed that game. Whatever it was, we haven't been able to play as a team whole game.
Is it a confidence thing? Is it a physical thing? Is it a combination? Is it just mistakes that's hurting at the wrong time?
Yeah, definitely mistakes hurting at the wrong time. It's two people not doing what they're supposed to on any given play, whether it's catching the ball or getting the right block or hitting the wrong person on a block, or not making a sack when we're in position, not making the tackle when we're in position. We did not tackle very well. We were pretty high on a lot of things. Our linebackers overran the running backs quite a few times. When we get it all clicking, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, Coach King had made a comment, we've been shooting ourselves in the foot and we aren't built to play from behind, and that's so true. You're kind of built from the situation where you got to get the lead and kind of hang on to that because you're not always going to be a big scoring threat to score rather quickly. As you mentioned, Josh Hall scored a 10-yard run. Connor Luss kicked the PAT to put the Bulldogs up 7-0 at just 1.5 minutes into the contest. You had to be feeling pretty good yourself. What did you like specifically about that first drive?
We ran the ball really well. I think we had 2 running plays, and then a pass out of the backfield, and it looked good. When we run things the right way, we look pretty good on offense. It's just consistently getting the things in place. We kind of switched up a little bit. We went to a bone package last week, so we kind of ran that. And at times it looks like it's unstoppable, but again, 1 or 2 people take a play off and we're back 10 yards, and now we're in trouble. We're not really built to have a deep ball pass. We had some nice passes. Trevor threw the ball really well. Connor didn't make the catch, and that's unlike him. So again, it's some of us are clicking and then others aren't, and then we switch roles, and then it just kind of falls apart.
Ridgedale bounced right back. They got 2 scores to lead 15-7 at the 3:52 mark of the first quarter. 1 more score in the second, and Ridgedale took the lead in the locker room 22-7. They scored 3 more times in the third quarter to lead 42-7, but Trevor Shade comes back. He throws a pass to Brandon Hiles. 4-yard touchdown pass with 8:39 left in the fourth. To kind of finish off the scoring. Their quarterback, Lester, was 10 of 14 for 251 yards through the air. Ruth had 2 catches for 82 yards. Barkley, 106 yards rushing for 17 totes. Trevor Shade, your quarterback, 12 of 16. That's pretty efficient through the air, 134 yards. You had to like what he was doing.
Absolutely. I don't think we had a turnover this game, and that's a step in the right direction. There was no interceptions, and that's a big improvement from the last couple weeks. You know, we're not just slinging the ball out there. He made good decision making. He checked down when he needed to. He found the open guy. They didn't always make the catch, and that's what we got to do. We have to be perfect in order to be in the game.
Lucas Cochran, 3 receptions, 58 yards. Good to see him doing some nice things. And Josh Hall, again, 11 rushes, 32 yards in that touchdown. And again, Coach King's comment, this week was a microcosm of our entire season. It's hard to get consistency, and you've said that word over and over again just in the short time we visited. We can't use it as an excuse, but it's hard to put things together.
Yeah. Yep.
So is that what you've been kind of preaching in practice this week, is that consistent level of play?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've got to do things the right way, and if we're not going to do it the right way, then there's no reason to do it. And that's kind of what I've been harping on. Also, what's our why for playing? We've got to figure out why are we out here. Because if it's to get beat 58-0 or 48-0 or 42-0, then what are we doing? Like we've got to find our why and go out there and smash somebody in the mouth.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. I really appreciate you saying that. We'll take a break here before we talk to the young men around the table. The show is brought to you in part by Don Barr and Associates at the Galleon Building and Loan Bank, Matt Studer at Spitzer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Kia, 1 mile east of the Richland Mall, Mark Osborne and Associates at E-Crane International, serving worldwide markets from the Galleon Industrial Park. First up, freshman Kenneth Simpson. So good to see you again. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing really well. And, I really enjoyed what Coach Wright said about figuring out your why and being a young person on the team your first year at varsity level. Have you figured that out yet, 6 weeks in, what your why is?
I've been moving around some thoughts and thinking about it. I almost have it completely thought out.
Now you got to put actions or the words into action, right?
Yeah.
And, excuse me, so what has been the major focus for you guys this week in practice?
The tempo for the physicality and making sure we're up to speed.
Yeah. Whoop, lost my mic there a little bit. There we go. So what have you been doing personally this week to get better in practice?
I've been trying to be more physical, make more contact.
I saw an interesting video today on social media, and it was actually Deion Sanders, who's now a college coach, former pro player, talking about practicing with a purpose. And I think, I think all of you guys can probably take that into your heart. And basically the message he was saying is, why do you practice? Are you practicing just because for the sake of practicing, or are you practicing to get better? And do you think you guys are starting to get this practice with a purpose a little bit? Do you think it's finally starting to come together?
Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good so far.
All right, we'll keep it up, and going to be a tough one this week. Got a good Waynesville Goshen team coming in, but all luck to you guys. Hopefully you get a win. And next up, we have Aidan Rogers as a junior. And Aiden, it's great to see you again. Thanks so much for coming out.
Yep, thanks for having me.
You bet. Talk about that first drive. You're out there on the line, right, opening the holes and things like that. Talk about the confidence that you guys had in the huddle, not only during that drive, but after that drive. Because as Coach says, it's kind of a beautiful thing to watch when you're successful like that.
Yeah, no, it feels great to be up, to get that drive, and I think we all did our job that drive. I don't think we were all doing our job. We didn't take a play off, and I think when we take a play off, that's when things start to go sideways.
So how do you change that mindset where all of you, and it's not, whether you get on each other or whatever you have to do, but everybody's doing their 1/11th and doing your job, and you don't take a play off. What do you have to do to get that consistent?
Yeah, I think even in practice, I think all the way through practice we can't take a play off. If we're practicing offensively, just make sure we don't take a play off even in practice.
Yeah, I've heard it said many, many times, you practice how you play. And if you practice really hard, it's going to translate on the field on Friday night. You guys get 10 paydays. And you want to make the most of those paydays, and that's, we've talked about it before, it's the beauty of high school football and football in general. You play one time a week, that's your payday, and all that practice, all the stuff that you do leads up to that payday. So hopefully that translates into a win this week. Thanks for coming, I appreciate it. Hunter Farrell is here, and the last time Hunter was here, he wasn't sure if he's going to play, and he told me off the air, I played in that game, even though I was a little dinged up, and I played again this last week. That's gutting through it. And the easy thing for you would have been to say, he's not going to feel it this week. Talk about that mindset of saying, screw it, I'm going to play.
Well, I first started football in elementary because I had anger issues, and my mom thought hitting people without being in trouble for it was a good idea. So I've liked that since 5th grade, and I wasn't going to sit on the sidelines and watch my team be beat and not be able to be out there and at least lose with them.
Oh, yeah, well, I understand that. And so as you work through practice this week, because it's not fun, I mean, yeah, it's a game. In the end, it's not life or death, but you want to win. You want to come on the winning side. What has happened this week in practice to get closer and closer to get that win?
Well, I wasn't at practice yesterday, but Monday we did a nice, almost like a relay race for the people that were there. It helped us like fast. We had 20 seconds to do 35-yard sprints, 4 groups at a time, and it worked on everyone. The running backs, probably easy for them. Our bigger guys, more of a struggle. Do that in 20 seconds. We did it one time, 18.53 seconds, and felt really good about that. And then the very next one, everyone didn't do as good. We got 22 seconds on that. Everyone let go a little bit and shouldn't have done that.
So it kind of speaks to what Coach was talking about. It's not consistent. So what do you have to do to be consistent?
Just get in the right mindset and keep my head straight.
There you go. Good luck. Continued success for you, and enjoy.
Thank you.
Next up, Finnegan Belsik is here. And Finnegan, it's great to have you back again. You're getting to be a pretty veteran on this show for sure. And I still think you really don't like talking to me, but you just like being part of the group. Is that right? Or is this okay?
This is fine.
All right. So it's got to be tough. Is it as a young person, and nobody likes to get beat all the time. You want to win every once in a while. Is it hard to internalize that, or is it kind of one of those things where you say, hey, it's a growing experience. It's a learning experience for me. How do you interpret it, that continued losing?
I'd say it's definitely a growing experience. It was a very young team, a lot of freshmen and some sophomores, and hopefully it's going to get better.
Yeah, when you think about that, and I think you bring up a really, really good point. On a lot of teams, there's young guys like you and others on your team that never get the Friday night experience. They don't know what it's like until sometimes their junior year, and even though they've played JV or maybe freshman, they don't really get that true experience. Talk about how beneficial do you think, even though this year hasn't translated into the W's that you hope, how it's going to benefit you and your young teammates for years to come?
And then it's definitely going to help us because we know what it's going to be like at that level of varsity football.
Yeah, because as you get older, you're going to start playing kids, and you're going to remember back, I remember when I was a freshman, and I remember what this feels like. Now it's a little bit of payback. So what do you have to do personally this week coming up to hope for a win against Winsfield?
I really just sustain blocks and make sure nobody gets thrown into trouble.
Through 6 weeks, how much have you learned as a football player?
I've learned a lot.
Yeah, when you look back at week 1 compared to now, I mean, you're a veteran. You really are. You're a veteran of 6 weeks of this. The growth has to just be huge.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's noticeable.
Very good. Well, continued work, and hopefully we get some payday here real quickly. Finally, we're here with Johan Lees, and you're a senior. Johan, thanks for coming out tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And position that you're playing on the team?
Defensive tackle and end.
Okay. And defensively, is it hard to, when you're getting kind of beat on a little bit, is that letdown factor there? And how do you try to get over that and just keep persevering and driving through and as Coach said, wrapping up and making the key tackles?
Just so you know, next play, you gotta do it. You gotta get through the line. You gotta make that tackle. find the ball when you see it, just go burst out, get that tackle out. That's all you can do.
Do you find yourself, when a play maybe doesn't go as expected, that you're kind of talking to yourself saying, Johan, you got to have a short memory, man. That one's over. You got to let it go, and you got to be better on this next play. Do you think that way, or is there just no time to think about that?
I mean, I do have short memories, and sometimes I think, there I did something wrong. I'll look at one of my, someone else online and say, maybe, hey, did I do something wrong? And I'll just say, or if I don't get time to ask, I'm like, all right, let me just try to do it again or do something a little different.
As the season's going on from the beginning till right now, what's the biggest thing you've learned on the field?
I think the biggest thing I've learned, I guess, would be probably that I've been tackling wrong a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's one thing to say, well, it's just the way it is and that's how I tackle. It's another thing to say, I'm going to improve. And as long as you've put the effort in to improve, then the lesson's been learned and that's all that can be done. So we'll continue work, good work and success for you, and enjoy the rest of the season as it goes.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. We're going to get ready to wrap up here pretty quickly. Want to let you know our show is brought to you by Steve and Chuck Keller, Keller Auto Parts, your Navigator, Uptown Galleon and Crestline, Marie Mounts at the Platinum Insurance Agency, the progressive age of 131 Harding Way East in Uptown Galleon, Joe Kleiman Associates at the Galleon office of First Federal Bank of Ohio, and we welcome back to the microphone assistant varsity football coach at Crestline High School, Garry Wright. And coach, not an easy draw again this week. It seems like they're never easy in the Northwest Central Conference. There's a lot of good football teams out there. Waynesfield Goshen comes to Hudson Stadium. Tigers are 5-1 overall, 2-1 in the Northwest Central Conference. Alan Weierman is their head coach. Last week they defeated Ridgemont 28-8. They're averaging almost 34 points a game, and they're only giving up about 16 points per game. So it tells me they have a pretty good offense and a pretty stingy defense. What have you seen from Waynesfield Goshen, the Tigers, on film? What do they do well? What are some things you can take advantage of?
Yeah, they're a pretty good football team. They put up 68 points on a team, and it was a shootout. The other team scored 62.
Was that Arjun?
Yeah, I think it was. It was vice versa. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, they're good. They can run the ball. The quarterback is a good athlete. He can toss it out there if he needs to. Their line looks pretty good.
Are they big, or are they just quick?
It's a mixture. They got some athletic linemen that are going to get on them. They move them around. They move the defense around a lot. It's just all around good football team.
Do they have an identity where they want to run and only pass if need be, or are they kind of spread out and they'll pass first?
I think they just play to whatever they're going to get. In one game, they ran the ball. In the other game, they tossed the ball. So it really just depends on the flavor of the week.
Yeah, whatever the defense gives them. So what's going to be the key to your defense to kind of shut them down and slow them down? Maybe not shut them down, but to slow them down.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to get hands-on the linemen. Don't let them get to our linebackers. Keep the outside contained. And for the love of goodness, our cornerbacks have got to get their eyes on their receivers and not in the backfield.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's something I'm sure that you and your coaching staff will continue to preach this week as we get closer to Friday. Enjoy the home cooking. It's always good to be at home and not have to go on the road. I'm sure you all love playing in front of your family and friends and all the fans of Crestline. And guys, I keep saying it, keep staying passionate about what you're doing. Keep learning, keep growing. Someday this payday is going to come. We don't know when, but keep doing your 1/11th. Don't miss your assignments. Keep your heads up when mistakes are made. Keep learning and growing, and good things will happen.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming out. I certainly appreciate it. Coming up tonight on the media schedule, Cleveland Indians baseball. They're out in Kansas City, and they'll be taking on the Royals. We'll have coverage on WQEL beginning at 7:35 this evening. Tomorrow night, it's the Ryan Day Show at 6:05 on WQEL as they prepare for the Rutgers team coming up this Saturday. And then we'll have Cleveland Indians baseball tomorrow night in Kansas City. Coverage begins at 7:35. Friday night, another big high school Friday evening. It'll be Cam Moon and the opening drive at 6:30. All you want to know about area high school football. We'll have a doubleheader on WQEL to be Seneca East at Winford, and on WBCO it will be Buckeye Central at Bucyrus. Davy Jones has the Friday night phone board to follow right around 9 o'clock. As mentioned, Ohio State will be on the road in Piscataway, New Jersey to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock, kickoff right around 3:30. And then on Sunday, the Cleveland Indians, last time I can say that, as they are wrapping up their season, and next year will be the Cleveland Guardians. They are at Texas. Coverage begins at 2:35 this Sunday for the final game of the season. I want to thank everyone here at the Galleon Pizza Hut, especially our manager tonight, Jordan Roop. I want to thank our server tonight, Aniana, for taking care of us in the party room. Thank you to Danny Lane back in the studio for keeping me on the air, and my camera operator tonight, Cameron Moon. Thank you to Galleon football coach Matt Dick and his players, Colonel Crawford football coach Ryan Teglovic and his players, and assistant football coach at Crestline High School, Garry Wright, and his players for joining as well. Thank you to our sponsors, and most of all, you, our listeners and viewers, for tuning in on the WQEL Facebook page. For WQEL Sports, this has been Mike Sparks reminding you, spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. Have a good night, everybody.